Okay, we're going to up to the Mishnah on Chaf Beis Amid Beis. Chaf Beis Amid Beis. Achikim es hasulam in hashoivach arba amos. We distance a ladder from the shoivach 4 amos. Kadesh le tikbaitz hanemiya, that this nemiya, this creature, this cat-like creature, should not jump and get into the shoivach Chaf Beis Amid Beis. Yeah, and not jump into the shoivach, the coop, and eat up the prisons. So that's a chachas nesikin. There's a kaisel min hamaschila dalet amis. We distance the kaisel from the gutter 4 amis. In order to give a place to put the ladder to go up and clean out the gutter. Let's now, guys. We met Rabbi Yossi and the Rabbanan. We met them outside. We'll meet them inside. Rabbi Yossi is the one who says that a person can plant a tree. It's going to go ahead and the roots are going to grow and damage the bar. The nisik should go ahead and distance himself. In other words, so over here, you got a problem. The shayvach, you distance yourself. Lema mastisnas is Rashi like Rabbi Yossi. The polik b'seifa the pirkin, and the end of the our perik. B'noitea ilan soimach lebar. V'tuva miliyakin mastisan. There's many things in our Mishnayos divided like Rabbi Yossi. Elema absu, even this one, the sulam b'shayvach like Rabbi Yossi. Again, according to Rabbi Yossi, this would not be. You would not have to do this. You would not have to go ahead and be marchik 4 amis. Di Rabbi Yehuda ha'amar zeh chayfim b'teich shalai, zeh noite b'teich shalai. So, right, that because the B'rilu Rabbi Yossi, ha'amar Rabbi Yossi is of the opinion this guy does this thing, he just does things. So I have my coop there. You want to go ahead? Yeah, it's up to you. Go ahead and distance yourself away, but I don't have to do that. Says the Gemara. I feel the same Rabbi Yossi. You can even say Rabbi Yossi would agree over here that the person has to distance his ladder away. Rashi is of the opinion. Rav Kahana. When I was in the yeshiva of Kahana, Habi Omar Moide Rabbi Yossi Bikiri Didei. Right, Rabbi Yossi is Moide that what the Giri Didei if it's direct, if it's he goes ahead and he shoots an arrow. Rashi Bechitzim Haboim Lo Miyad Gufoy Shebal Abayis Mamish. So if you would put this ladder there, it could directly lead to the mazik. Why? If you go ahead and you put the ladder, right? Let's go with the girsa of the Bach, right? As soon as you put it, then what's going to happen? The kofza, it's going to go ahead and jump. So in other words, when Rabbi Yossi said, if you plant your tree in your rishus, it's going to take a long time for it to grow and into the bar of somebody else. That's not giri didei. That's not shooting an arrow where it's direct mazik right away. But Rabbi Yossi would be moida that even though the nisik has to, if the mazik is going to be direct right then and there, then he's moida. So our Mishnah that requires the sulam to be moved away because this creature, this nima, might go ahead and jump on the ladder and jump in. It could happen right away. Rabbi Yossi, we might in that situation you have to distance yourself away. Okay. Fred the Gemara of Gramahu. This is Groma ben Izakin. We are used to this. We went through Masechta Baba Kama. We had a Bab Mitzia. When you cause something, it's indirect. You're potter. You're potter. So over here, you didn't take the animal and stick it directly on the doves. You put a ladder there, and the animal would jump in the ladder. That's Groma. The Groma says potter. The Gemara has a havamina that look at Taisus guys. So I say Meres Groma Nisakin Asa Mikara Sakadaiti Hechdim Mikara Pata Achanami de Mutta. Such a chiddush that since you think it's pata to pay, you would think it's mutta to do. So therefore, for the Gemara, so why can't I put the ladder there? And for the Gemara, Amrav Tubi Bar Masla, as I say Meres, we can conclude from this idea that Rabbi Yossi is the Tanava Mishnah that Groma ben Isakin is asur. Even though you're pata to pay, Groma ben Isakin is pata. Okay, that's so Groma. We speak of Groma. If a person ties up somebody and he's eaten up by a wild animal, pata avalasa, right? Pata avalasa, pata medina yadam, v'chay medina shemayim. If you go ahead and incite a dog to go bite somebody, you're pata. You go ahead, guys, take the dog and its teeth and put it directly on the person, you'll be chayiv. That's cause direct. So we have something called what? Grama. We have something called biyad immediately, and we have something called garmi. Guys, we have something called garmi. So I thought we'd spend a little moment today on garmi. I have a written up from probably 40, 50 years ago. Good look. Yeah, a piece of Adrian's this shtickle Torah on Garmi. This is the whole shtickle Torah on Garmi, but we're not going to go through it. We're not going to go through it, but it's a different shitas in Garmi. Rashi's shita is that there's no difference. There's no such thing. What?
Rum and Garmi.
Gram and Garmi. Rashi says there's no distinction. Gram and Garmi is pata. It could be maybe Garmi is chayiv, could be kanas. We'll see a shita. So the main source for Garmi, the source is the Rosh in Siman Yud Zayin. The Rosh in our Perik and Siman Yud Zayin goes through all the places in Shas and makes this distinction. One of the distinctions is that Bari Hezeka. You know the Hezek's going to happen for sure. If you know the Hezek by Grama, you're not sure the Hezek's going to happen. But Bari Hezeka by Garmi, you know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. That's one. And Taisvis gives us another chilik. If you look at Taisvis, the last Taisvis on the page, if you look on the first wide line, the chilik Rabbeinu Yitzchak Loshen Echad the Dina de Mechayev Hainu Sha'oisahu Atzmai Hezek L'ma Mechaveiroi, where he himself does the damage. It's not caused by somebody else; it's caused by him. He himself does the damage. He himself does the damage. Void chilik the Dina de Mechayev Hainu Mishas Maisa Sheba Hezek. This is similar to the Rush. Mishas Maisa, as soon as he makes the Maisa, the Hezek happens. Right? As soon as he makes the Maisa, the Hezek happens. Right? Now, if you go down another line, it's at the end of the line, Venera Leritzpa, the Dini Digami having mitam knas. The Dini Digami is a knas. In other words, it's really a pater. And the reason why you have to pay, they canceled Garmi, they didn't cancel Grama. They canceled Garmi. The Rabbanan gave a knas by Garmi. In other words, guys, there's a big heter over here. You know, I didn't cause the problem. I put a banana peel at the top of the step and the person slipped down in the morning. What did I do, right? I didn't clean up. You have a sheet of ice and you don't go ahead and clean it up in front of your house. What did I do? I didn't cause it, right? You could say you're off the hook. You could say, and according to the Torah, you are off the hook. You are off the hook. So let's say, I'll give you an example of a Garmi. Let's say a person's walking, he doesn't see, and you go ahead, it's a cold night, and you take an ice cube and you put it mamish under his foot. That would be Garmi. On the other hand, not cleaning up, not going ahead and chopping up your rice would be Groma. So the person in both cases got damaged the same way. But one was by, like Toysvis, you did it, and two, it was immediate. But it's not the same as, it's if you leave a gun out and someone uses it, is Groma. If you shoot the gun, that's miyad, that's a miyad, that's not even Garmi. That's not Garmi. Garmi is a middle madrega. You take a snake. If you tie a person up, a snake comes and eats up the person, that's groma. You take a poisonous snake, venomous snake, you take with the fangs and you stick it in a person, that's miyad. That's not garmi. That's not garmi. That's hezek miyad. That's odom muad la'olam. So the chilukim are very dakistic between, and you have to see. And the source for garmi again is they struggle. They struggle for the source of garmi. Ad Kedei Kach Nitzvah says it's really the only difference is it's a kanas. It's a kanas. There are people who hold Garmi is chayiv. There's a whole kuntrus. The Ramban wrote a whole kuntrus dini de Garmi, and they go through all the sources. It's a huge sugya. So over here we're just touching on Daf Yomi. We should be familiar with the terminology. Rama ben Izakin is pata. Rama ben Izakin is pata midine adam v'chay midine shemayim. If you come in the jungle and it says lion crossing, and you tie up a guy and you leave, and the next day you come back and you find his clothing, then that's grama. That's grama. Hashem will take care of you. You're not getting off the hook, but that's grama. And as bidei adam, they can. Yes. What's your question?
I think Garmi imply the physical action by the person.
According to Taisvis, it seems to be. I'll give you a good example of Garmi.
You said the ice.
Nice. Let me give you a good example of Garmi. I go ahead, and I sell to Mendy. I sell a shtar chayv. Heshi owes me $1,000. I sell the shtar chayv to Mendy. I give 70 cents on the dollar. I give him $700. So you say, great, I'll make $300. You know what I do then? I'm moichel the chayv. That's Garmi. That's Garmi. I did it. It's miyad. That's Garmi. Here, guys, that would be a great case of Garmi. You know, Garmi does not be in the zakin. Garmi can be in many venues. Here's Garmi and Dinei Mominus, right? It fits this geschmack. I did it, and it was immediate. right? I did it; it was immediate. Okay, that would be a good example of dini gami, which Shmuel's din that comes along. So again, it's a huge sugya. I still remember I spent a tremendous amount of time on it many moons ago, but for Daf Yomi purposes, I think we give it a little toyaneha a Thursday night. Okay.
Unfortunately, it's the same.
Yeah. Whatever. Rabbi Yosef Havile Hanu Toloi. Rabbi Yosef had these small palm trees. Rabbi Yosef had these small palm trees. The Have Amid Aleph. The Have Asi Umna. He had this umin, this blood letter would come. V'yasve Tutayu. He would sit underneath this palm tree. The Asi Urve, and the ravens would come. Achli Dama. They would eat the blood. The Solke, and they would go ahead and they would soak it with these blood ravens. They're full of blood. They would go sit on after they had their meal. They would go ahead and they would sit on the dates, and they would go ahead and be mafsid the dates with the blood. So Amar Luhu Rabbi Yosef Afikale Kurka Mehacha. Get the kurka. That's the lashon of like the noise they make. Get them out of here. So l'chayra Amar Abayava Gramahu. It's grama. It's grama. So why? So I say Meres, Grama ben Izakin Asa, right? Grama ben Izakin, what is Asa? Grama ben Izakin is Asa. So get him out. This person has been doing it for Chazaka. He's been under this tree letting blood and no one said anything. So why, once he's muchsik lakach, why would you have to go? And for the Gemara, Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Avua, Ein Chazaka l'nisakin. There's no Chazaka l'nisakin. So in other words, even though he is machzik in to be in this place, we don't have a Chazaka l'nisakin. Since the damage is going to take place, the Chazaka doesn't help, and you have to leave. Rav Itmar Allah, Rav Mori Omar Bikutra, Rav Zavid Omar Besakise. When do we say Ein Chazak l'nisakin? That's only lenient smoke. Guys, let's say you're in a smoking section. You smoke. The smoke. So if you muchsik that what? You muchsik that a certain place for a certain period of time. And now smoke. And smoke is gonna stare you, can be massacre you. Even though you're muhsik, ain't chazak l'nisakin for smoke. Refet, the smell or an odor of this odor of a bathroom. So but ravens not. Ravens, the guy's muhsik. If he's muhsik, ain't achinami, he could stay there. So Abaya has a taina. How can you, Rabbi Yosef, ask him to leave? You'll say ain't chazak l'nisakin, and whatever the bloodletter has established as chazaka l'nisakin, we don't go ahead and we're not geiris it. Right? That's only when it comes to smoke, and only comes to what? Based he say it doesn't come. So says the Gemara. So Rabbi Yosef told Abaya, Hani, these ravens, lididi danina datoy. I'm an istanis. I'm a very delicate, fragile fellow. Ki kutra bekasisa damili. They're mamish like smoke in a basic. He said to me, therefore the chazaka doesn't mean anything, and therefore you have to leave. For me, for me, this chazaka doesn't count. And they're going to have to go ahead right and leave. That's I saw something very interesting. Okay. Anyway, says the Mishnah. Marchikim es hashoivach min ha'ir, right? Marchikim es hashoivach min ha'ir chamishim ama. So what we're worried about is like this: you own doves, you own birds. And the birds are going to come and they're going to eat the ginos from the gardens. They're going to eat the ginos from the gardens. They're going to eat the zeroyim. So marchikim es hashoivach min ha'ir chamishim ama. In addition, if he has a field, he should not make a coop in his field. He has 50 amas in all directions. So in other words, if it's less than 50, he's not able to do it. Why? Because they're going to go and eat in other people's fields. So the first case is speaking about in the city, in an ear, that's halacha of a gina, you'll have a garden there. And the second halacha, also the same distance of 50 amma, is speaking in a field to prevent his birds from going and eating other crops. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, base arba kurin. An area have 274 amis, which is less. The coop, and it's been muchzik to be there. Afilu beis roiva, even if it's a beis roiva, which is what? Which is 104 and a sixth. Harihu b'cheskasai, it's the chazaka. That last case, fellas, means if you buy a coop and it's less than the distance described, obviously the people there must have gone ahead and accepted it, right? They must have gone ahead and accepted it. And that's an important nakuda we're going to shtel sich on, that if you're muchzik because people accepted it, right? Must be that it was established that was the chazaka. So we're getting these distances of 50 amis is predominantly. Rabbi Yehuda gives another distance. He says a larger area, 274 amis, much more than 50 amis, and then he says a kula. However, if you buy it and it's afilu only 104 and a 6 amma, then you'll be okay. Says the Gemara, chamishim amam v'suloi. You only have to distance 50 amis. That's it. It's mashma that birds don't go more than 50 amis. Reminu, a person. This is regarding setting up traps, and we don't want you to go ahead and trap somebody else's birds. So it's in Gesela. In person nishvin liyonim, we don't go ahead and spread traps for doves. Elam kein hayarachik min hayishuv shloishim ris. You have to be a distance of shloishim ris. That's 8,000 amas, guys. 8,000 amas. So you say 50. You say 50 that a bird you only have to worry up to 50 amas. Regarding capturing another person's birds, it's 8,000 amas. So, Amabaya, it's a big difference. Meishit shaya tuva. They fly a tremendous amount. They fly 8,000 amas. That's a tremendous distance. However, the kersayu b'chamishim amsa malya. The first 50 amas, they fill their stomachs up. In other words, they fly a lot. But what are we worried about? We're worried about that eating somebody else's crop. After 50 amas, you don't have to worry about eating because they've had their fill already. Up to 50, it's amazing. The Chazal tell us the bird will fill its stomach 50. It'll fly farther than that, much farther than that. But regarding worrying about eating other person's crop, it's not going to eat because it ate its fill in the first 50 amas. Fascinating. It ate its first fill in the first 50 amas. So concerning damaging harchakas nezikin, it's enough 50. Einachinami, regarding stealing the bird, you have to worry about much farther because they do fly much farther. Fascinating chilik. Only Chazal can tell you this. Okay, for the first 50 they eat, and beyond that, of course, they travel a much longer distance. Right? Shloishim ris they only fly 8,000 amis, 30 ris. But Tanya, ubi yishuv in when it comes in the yishuv within the inhabited areas, afilu meya mil la yifros. Even with meya mil, you shouldn't go ahead and meya mil is 200,000. Right, a mil is 2,000 amis. So it's about 20,000. A mil, that's meya. So 20,000. No, 200,000. Excuse me. Yeah, 200. No, it's 200,000. 200,000.
1 mil is 2,000.
1 mil is 2,000 amas. I know. So meya mil is 200,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So now ubisha afilu ubiyishu afilu meya. So not 30. So Rabbi Yosef Omar biyishuv kronim. We're speaking over there when it says that distance of meya mil. It's speaking about a yishuv of kronim. So it's going to go from, it can't fly that far, but if it has a place to rest, it can fly. So it's a yishuv of kromim of vineyards. It's going to fly from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Rav Amma b'yishuv shayvchim, right? Speaking about a yishuv shayvchim, so it can fly a great distance because it goes from coop to coop to coop. Read the Gemara. So why do you have to give me this spreading for of 100 mil because of it's going to go from coop to coop to coop? The typically mishum shayvchim gufayu. You said if you have to separate from the shayvich itself. In other words, what are you worried about? You're worried about stealing someone else's pigeons, right? So you have to distance yourself a distance, and you're telling me it's hopping from coop to coop to coop. So why do you have enough reason to go ahead and separate because of the coops themselves? Iba is saying maybe the coops belong to him. Iba is saying the Kanani, maybe they belong to the Kananim, and over here I guess we're not worried about Gezel Akum. Iba is saying the Hefker, these are coops of Hefker, and therefore the only reason you separate is because of the of the 100 mil, but not because of each coop. Okay, the next din, we have to go back to the Mishnah. What did the Mishnah say? The Mishnah said, if you went ahead and you bought, you bought a coop, and the coop is not distance, you could be sure that you're pretty much good, you're pretty much okay. You can be sure you're pretty much okay. Now, we know this cheska sholosh shanim, guys, right? This chazaka of 3 years. Now, the chazaka has to have a taina to it. Rabbi Branka, what are you doing on my land? No one said anything to me. That's not a taina. 3 years later, Rabbi Branka, what are you doing on my land? Because I bought it from you, Rabbi. Because where's your star? Because after 3 years, I don't have to watch my star. You get it. Chazaka sheyesh ima taina. You have to have a legal claim. You have to have a legal claim. Good? Guys, it's the next parak. Cheskas, you're going to come out of your ears. You're going to spend the whole month on Cheskas Abatim. It's called Cheskas Abatim. Chazaka sholosh shanim. Chazaka that has a taina with it. So now, if you have a person that's sitting on karka, person comes along and says, what? It's my land. He brings Adim, that's his land, right? And the person that's on the land brings Adim that he inherited from his father, or that he bought it from so-and-so, and that so-and-so was muhsik for 3 years. So now, if I went ahead and in the case, so let's say, how would you possibly know that that person was muhsik in it? In other words, this person brings Aiden that once upon a time it belonged to Harry. I say I bought the field from Harry. Or Harry died and Harry's kids yarshined it. Someone comes along and says Harry was machzik in that field. And he brings Aiden that it was his. So I would be believed. How do I know that Harry was machzik in the field? And the answer is that Bezdin makes that taina. In that case, Bezdin is tayin. How do you know in our Mishnah that this shayvach, in fact, that they had been machzik for 3 years and no one said anything? How would I know when I bought it? They have Adim that say that the guy, it was mine. He's saying it was mine. And the Aid, if I had Adim, they would say, well, he was machzik in 3 years, and you came and he said he bought it from you. That claim is going to be made by Bezdin. That claim that you couldn't possibly know is made by Bezdin, and that's inferred from our Mishnah. So says the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda base abayim kurin, but what really going on is the v'chuloi, is that a filu that even it's smaller, even if it's what, it's a base roiva, haru b'cheskasai. Amra papa, b'teim Rav Zvid, so I say meris from our Mishnah, that toinin l'loikeach, v'toinin l'yoirish, that we make a claim for loikeach. Again, I bought it from Harry, and Harry was machzik in it. How do I know Harry's machzik in it? Bezdin makes that claim. That's how you know. Fred the Gemara, Yoirish Tanina, Yoirish we learned. Why do I need to tell me from the Mishnah? Haba Mishum Yerusha Ein Tzarech Taina. A guy who says he was Yoirish from a person who it was in his father's possession. He doesn't have to have a Taina. Says Lekeach that I bought it from Harry. That's the chiddush. That Bezdin will be toyin that I bought it from Harry who been machzik in it. Fred the Gemara Lekeach Nami Tanina. Loka Chaser. If you purchase a chatzar, guys, we're going to see later on that you're not, picture remember the Mexican hacienda? You have the wood coming out of the top, out of the sides. You're not allowed to have it from your property into Rishus Harabim because people are going to bump into it. You can't do that. So now, let's say a person buys a house. What could I do if I want that look? Here's what I could do. I could recess it in my property. Good. And now it's suspended over my property. And I now give my property to Rishus Harabim. So I built it in mine. It's going into the property that had been mine, but now I gave that property over to Rishus Harabim. That would be okay. That would be okay. So now, Laka Chatzar, you buy a Chatzar, and you have these projectiles going into Rishus Harabim. It's in the chazaka that either guys, the Rabbim gave you permission, or you built it in your own property and you then gave over your property to the part that's underneath the Gustroros, you gave over to Rishus HaRabim. That's the Chazaka. So therefore, what do you see when you buy Lekeach? You say also. So we have Yerusha, you have Lekeach. So why do you need it? So I say Meris. What are you going to tell me from the Diak and our Mishnah? Says Gemara, Tzricha. You need to tell me both cases. You need to tell me the Ashmin and Hassam Gabi Rishus HaRabim. If you tell me just over there by the Chatzar, where the Gustrois are protruding, the Imer kindness the Shaloihu. I'd say that what? He was kindness, he took his he built within his property and it projected out. Inami achule achal b'nei Rishus HaRabim gabe, they permitted him, they gave him a permit. Aval hacha over here, right? You might think that what? Maybe he's lying, right? The person's mevata, maybe he's lying, he's a strong person, maybe he's scared of him. You say no. You say in this case maybe he taka is not. It's not a chazaka. V'yesh hacha in our case, in the case of what of lekeach, even the yachid who emer piyusi paise. I think since the yachid maybe he was mefayis him. Inami achuli achal gabei aval rabim man payis man shavik by Rishus HaRabim going to Rishus HaRabim. Who's going to give him permission? Emer lois tzrich. You need to tell me both cases. The last din of the Mishnah. Ayu b'cheskasai. Ivam Rav Nachman Amar Rabbi Avua Ein Chazak L'Nezikin. It's because Kasoi, but l'chari this is speaking about a shayvach. A shayvach, the birds are going to do damage. Says Gemara Rav Mariama b'kutra. Again, when we say Chazak L'Nezikin, that's in smoke. And Rav Zvid Amar basically say, but we don't say Chazak L'Inyan pigeons. We don't say Chazak L'Inyan pigeons. Okay, the next piece of Gemara has nothing to do with our parak. This is really Bab Mitzvah stuff or Chulin stuff. Okay. Nipol is a geisel. It's a little fledgling. Now it can't fly. It can hop along. Before they learn to fly, they're hopping along. So it's a hoppy. Nipol hanimsa b'toich chamishim ama. It's found within 50 amis of its coop. So you have a coop and it's found within 50 amis of its coop. Harusha bala shoivich. It belongs to the owner of that shoivich. Chutz mi chamishim ama. If you find it outside 50 amis, harihushal moitzei. It's considered an aveda, and therefore whoever finds it belongs to him. So within 50, we're going to say you go after what? Karoiv. You go after Karoiv is closer, right? We'll say it was from there. Outside 50, it belongs to the person who found it. Nimsa bein shnei shavchais. Let's say you find it at the 50-yard line between two shvachais. Karav l'zeh shalai. Again, whichever it's closer to, nechza, half and half, shnei nechloku. Then they're both yechloku. Then they're going to divide. Okay, this has nothing to do with our parak. This has everything to do with what? With the din of roiv v'karoiv. Okay, now, Amar Rebbe Chanina, roiv v'karoiv. Now, fellas, we have many ways of going ahead. And figuring out a suffix. Guys, right? So the best thing is Eidim. You have Eidim to come and testify on your behalf. If you don't have Eidim, so we said Maman Amutal B'Safik Cholkin. Chazaka. If Muchzik Hamoitzi Mechavero Olav Leheveraya. You find meat in the street. You have 10 butcher shops, 9 sell kosher, 1 sells treif. Find it in the street. What are we going to say? It's kosher. You're going to go after Roiv. You find a dead body between two cities. You don't know who killed it. You measure. The city that's closer will bring an Egla Rufa Benachal. So there's the idea of Karoiv and the idea of Roiv. So in this case, we have L'chaira, we have a Karoiv and we have a Roiv. And let's see how it goes out. Reb Chanina, Roiv v'Karoiv, Holchem Acha Roiv, says Rashi, Roiv v'Karoiv, in Bod Dava L'fonenu, if something comes in front of us, v'yesh boi lahalach acha Roiv, v'hu kach, if we go over the Roiv, the din will be such and such, v'im telech boi acha Karoiv, ein a kach. But if we go after the Karoiv, then the din will not be like the din if we go after the Roiv. Halach boi acha Roiv, you go after a Roiv. So Karoiv, Roiv is better. The Alpha got the Chavayu deraisa, guys. Even though both deraisa, Ruba deraisa dechsiv, guys. Achrei Rabim lahatois. You go after the Rabim lahatois. The kurva the raisa and karv is the raisa. The chsiv vayir hakroiv l'chol goes. That's the din of egla rufa. So guys, it's fascinating. Achri Rab Maharis, we learned that the din of bittel. Bittel, guys, midaraisa is 2-1. 2-1. You got the dayanim, 2 passing this way, 1 passing this way. So we go after roiv as a way of being mevara a din. We go after karoiv. So if you have a din of roiv and a din of karoiv, roiv is adif. Now I'll tell you geshmaka. Listen to this svara, guys. Geshmaka svara. Crazy geshmaka svara. Listen, eye contact, guys. Great svara. The din of roiv is that I don't know any better, so I'm going to go after the majority, or the din of roiv say that's what it is. In other words, is roiv just it makes sense, or is roiv a birur? It's a clear cut that this is what it is. It's clear. It's clear that's what it is. It's a psak. Achrei Rab Lahatois. When 2 dayim paskin one way and 1 paskins the other way, that's the din. That's the din. You have something gets mixed with something else, kashrus with the tarfis. It's what? It's kosher. It's kosher. It paskins. It's mavara. What about karov? Do you know for sure? Karov just means the Torah says whichever one is closer brings the egla rufa, but it's not a way of being mavara. We're not saying for sure that the murderer came from that city. We don't know for sure. Says the Chemdas Shloima in his Psicha, Roiv v'Karoiv. You go after Roiv because Roiv is a birur. The Torah is telling you, Azoi Idas, this is what it is. Karoiv is just a din of Karoiv. It's not a bir. It's not telling you for sure. It's telling you in that scenario, the one that's closer brings the egla rufa. Achrei Rab Lahatois is a birur. This is the din. Azoi Idas. And therefore, roiv v'karoiv, you always go after the roiv. Give shmaka hezba from the what? The Chem Shloima. Says the Gemara Vaita. So Amar Rebbe Chanina, roiv v'karoiv holchem achar roiv. V'apagav the ruba the raisa, v'karva the raisa. Again, roiv is the raisa of Machir of Lahatais, karva is the raisa from Egla Rufa. Afilu haki ruba adif. Even so, roiv is adif. Now, obviously, we're going to correct into this Mishnah, or else all of a sudden you bring something, right? When you bring a halacha like this, all of a sudden you know you're going to end up quoting our Mishnah. Basra Zera. What does it say? By the city that's closer. This is by Egla Rufa, the city that's closer. The afagav the ika achurisa the nafishamina. So guys, I got one city that's 100 amas away from the dead body. I got another city that's 2,000 amas away from the dead city. But the 2,000 amas city has 2,000 people, and the 100 amas city has 100 people. So here, if you go after Roiv, you're going to go after the 2,000 amas. If you go after Karov, you're going to go after the 100 amas, right? Where do we go after? We go after the 100 amas. So what do you see? Karov for Roiv, you go after Karov. Karov for Roiv, you go after Karov. That's what you're saying. Says the Gemara Biduleka. It's not, it's speaking about the cities are of equal what? Equal number. V'leizel basa ruba da alma. So let's go after the roiv of the world that passes through. In other words, there's a roiv that passes through. Says Gemara, B'yasheves bein harim. It's speaking about a city that people don't pass through. In other words, since you want to go after roiv, most of the people don't live in the city. People pass through the city. So if you go after roiv, right, then the murder is not from that city. Go after the roiv. Says Gemara, no one passes through the city. It's speaking about Yesheris ben Aram. Can you imagine, fellas, the whole din of Egla Ruf is speaking about what? A city, 2 cities that are between what? Between mountains. Exactly. It's unbelievable. And they have to be what? Exactly. They have to be mamish the same amount of people. It's mamish crazy. Mamish crazy. Again, you need the Torah Shebal Peh to tell you the limitations of the Torah Shebal Peh. Not the limitation, Chas v'Shalom, meaning the explanation of it. That the Hagdorah, just for guys, if you're ever interested, this is the time you go to the Minchas Chinuch. This is when you get a mitzvah like this, you go to the Sefer Chinuch and the Minchas Chinuch, he goes into the details about, you look at the Rambam and the details over here, because it seems to be, you're telling me the whole din of Egla Rufa is speaking of this Mitzias. Okay, next, Tanan, this is what we need. Nipol hanoitze mitoich hamishim ama. You find this little chickie, this little dovey, whatever it's hopping along there, right? It's hopping along, and you find mitoich hamishim ama. Harry hu shel bala shoivich. Now, ve'afal gav de'ika achrina dinafesh minei. Now, let's say I have another shoivich that's not close, but there's many more doves in there. So according to your halacha, that roiv and korov, if you go after roiv, you should go after the other one. But what do you see? You go after the 50 amma. 50 amma, right? You see, you're going after korov. Same kasha. Roiv and korov, you're going after korov. Says the Gemara, bidaleka. It's speaking where you don't have, right? It's speaking where you don't have, right? Look at Taisvis, guys. Bidaleka, the second bidaleka. Leimatzil mifrich the nezel basaruba da alma. The mari deleka shim shoivech toich shloishim ris. You can't say so. Go after most of the quotes because it's speaking one that's not within 30 ris. But amar leeld loishayid el shloishim ris v'suloi. In other words, they only fly up to X amount. So you only have to deal with these two. Taisus is limiting it. It's why doesn't the Gemara now ask the same question we asked before to go after Rive of the world? And the answer is because there is no Rive of the world. Why? Because you distance yourself shloishim ris, which was the distance we said before. Okay. So says the Gemara Viter, if you're telling me there's no other coop there, only this one, ihachi ema seifa, chutz mi chamishim amma, harihu shel maitzai. Outside 50 amis, right? It goes to what? To the person who found it. 1 second. If I'm the only game in town, guys, I'm the only game in town. I'm the only coop around. And now it's past the 50-yard line on the other side. The other person gets to keep it. Why? Obviously, he must have came from my coop. There's no other coop. The ideleka, vada mehu nafal. Vada came from that coop. And for the Gemara, we're speaking about a hopper. And what do we know about hoppers? The Amr of Ukva Bar Chama, Kol hamidade, ein midade yosemi nun ama. No animal, no bird, fledgling could go ahead and hop more than 50. So therefore, the one that's outside 50, obviously what? Is not from this coop. Outside 50 can't be from this coop. Why? Because it can't hop more than 50. That's the max it's going to be. Boy Rav Yirmiyah. Ragloi achas b'toich nunama, ragloi achas chutz michamishem mahu. What's the din? Now, there's two pshatim. One, they threw him out. The alda afkur the Rav Yirmiyah, they threw him out. The Bach has a girsa because of this. They elevated him. So now, why they throw him out? The alda the afkur why they throw him out of the base medrash? So Rashi says shal yematriach aleihem. He was troubling them. So what do you mean he was troubling them? Not what you think. Not what you think, Uncle Elliot. Not what you think. Says Taisvis. Says Taisvis, fellas. V'alda afkul Reb Yirmiyah mivei midrasha. Ein lefarish mishum deboy milsad leishchichi klal. Don't say it's because why he asked the question that's not plausible. The heichi asrami the ragli achas techamishim ragli achas chutz techamishim b'tzimtzum. How's that possible be exact? The ashkechin the mastisa nami b'chiyai gavna iri the kani mechsal mechsal chloka. 1 second. The Mishnah said half and half. You divide it. Says Tosfos. So it's not a you thought they're throwing him out because it's a klotz kasha. No, don't make that mistake. Someone who might make the mistake. That's not the reason they want to throw him out for the klotz kasha. It wasn't a klotz kasha. The Mishnah said. If mechza mechza yachleiku, so it's not a klotz kasha. Says Tosfos, v'niru l'Rabbeinu tam, the mishum hachi afkuhu, mishum dikadada, eina mad b'klal yosim echamishim ama. If you're hopping, we just said it only hops up to 50. So why did you say your mitzias is not possible to have another foot on the other side of the 50? Ad kedei kach, and therefore afilu regel achas, even one regel you would find. The chol midas chachamim kenu, all midas that are chachamim like that. Okay, what is the amount of water in a mikveh? 40 sa, right? 40 sa. What happens if you're missing a molecule of water? It's not a mikveh. Come on, cut a little slack. What's the answer? The midas of chachamim are very, very, very exact. The midas of chachamim are very, very, very exact. And that's why, and that's why they made up to They made up to this point. Okay, I think I'm just going to hold off over here because this connects to tomorrow's back. Okay. It's a great svara, guys. That's